Todd McShay released his latest mock yesterday. He had the Commanders selecting Ohio State wide receiver Chris Olave with the 11th pick. I love it. Olave would give Carson Wentz another playmaker in addition to Terry McLaurin, who was Olave's teammate, remember, at Ohio State during the 2018 season. So, Matt, as you look at your fellow draft analyst projection here, does Olave to Washington make sense to you?
Yeah, Laura, I definitely think he does. And this is the range where we could probably expect him to come off the board following a super strong performance at the scouting combine. I think there's a little redundancy here with Scary Terry. Obviously, yeah, like you said, they were roommates. They're both vertical stretch speed players. I think Olave is a little bit more of a nuanced route runner, especially coming out of Ohio State. He's been asked to do a lot more in his route tree. You can watch him sink in his breaks. I think he has the best footwork of any receiver in this draft in his route tree. And there were times this year he got into some body catches, but I think you can iron that out. Some of it was probably working with a new quarterback in C.J. Stroud. So I do love Olave here, especially because Garrett Wilson, Drake London, and Kyle Hamilton are already off the board in Todd's mock draft. Because I think if Kyle Hamilton's there, that should be a no-brainer for Washington as they try to rebuild things. The football IQ, the character, the leadership, and the playmaking ability from Hamilton would fit this team great. But the wide receivers are going to go fast and early this year. So Olave at 11, I think is great value. I know Dan loves him as well. This is what you need to give Carson Wentz to give him a chance to have success.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the body catching because McLaurin's a body catcher as well. And, you know, so they both could be a little bit. I would tell you this, if the Washington Commanders got Carson Wentz, Chris Olave, it'd be the best probably cumulative skill group that Carson Wentz has ever had. And it would put them on par with really Dallas in their division. I agree with you, Matt. The nuance of Chris Olave, I've called him a fast Keenan Allen, the way he drops his hips, the subtlety that he changes the tempo of his route, and just his ability to run by defenders. So you're looking at a Washington offense. If they got Olave with, obviously, Terry McLaurin, Chris Olave, it'd be Logan Thomas at tight end. You'd got Antonio Gibson and McKissick at tailback. I mean, that's a skill group that I could sit there and say, well, I understand Dallas is really talented, but those five guys are really, really, really good players. And I think that gives Carson, I'll tell you this, like if they got Olave and Carson Wentz had the same type of, you know, week 4 to week 15 production, then that gives Washington a legitimate chance to be contenders in that division.
If you think about it that way, and then being contenders, it's not just week 4 through 15, though. It's those latter games. And that's where
I can't go that far.
Sorry, I know. All right, so RC, when asked if he feels increased pressure to win this season, head coach Ron Rivera said, quote, "I do feel it." He said, "This is the year that says we're going to ascend and we should be ascending." So Ryan, when you look at Wentz and all this, and we kind of just alluded to it, the pressure on him to finally put it all together, especially if they add even more weapons around him, how important is it, though, for him to have another weapon in this offense?
It's extremely important. Carson Wentz is playing for his starting quarterback career. There isn't going to be another opportunity where he just walks into a spot if he doesn't succeed with the Washington Commanders. And you get a guy like Chris Olave and you add him to some of the other players that they have there offensively. And Dan is right. What Carson Wentz was week 4 through 15 is enough to win in the NFC East. But there's pressure on Ron Rivera. There's pressure on Carson Wentz. There's pressure on everybody wearing a Washington Commander jersey to finally get to that place that they thought they'd be in last year, even with acquiring Ryan Fitzpatrick. And Carson Wentz understands that people need to see a flash of something that's actually consistent. It can't be one week and then bad the other. It can't be not coming through in the clutch football moments late in the season. Carson Wentz has to find some magic somewhere and bring it back to the NFC East that allows the Washington Commanders to win the whole division. And if he can do that, I think he can solidify himself as the new quarterback there for years to come.
Yeah, RC, you talk about the fact that people need to see Carson Wentz kind of have this year. I don't know if he is aware of that, right? I don't know if he's had that humility, that humble moment, because I certainly thought it was going to happen post-Philadelphia to Indy, that he would be humbled a little bit. Right. And the more you hear some stuff, the more that didn't happen. So I'm hoping he's seeing it the same way you did, that this is your opportunity. And then, like, I don't like the fact that there is such pressure, because I think that, you know, even me could sit here and tell you that that's probably where he's at his weakest, is having to be at his calmest in those pressurized situations. They don't have a great offensive line, but if they get Olave, it's a really good skill group, and it's going to take him to play consistently good football. They were 6-6 last year with 12 games into the season, and they went 4-5 over that last 5-game stretch, all within their division. If he just plays good football in a division on that stretch, this is, again, a team that could contend to be division champions.
Yeah, I did a bad Carson Wentz stat earlier, so I'll do a good one to finish this up. He had 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions last season. That's the 4th best touchdown to interception ratio in the NFL.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.